Hi everyone, welcome back. This is the second video. This is meant to be much shorter. This is about the easiest and quickest ways to get the information we want from a table. So mode, the first one of all, mode is one I call the one that turns up the most. And if you have a look at it here, this was the survey I did with a number of cats and dogs in my Year 8 class the other day. And there were 2 families that had none. There were 6 families, what's the trap? 6 families had 1, 4 families had 2. 1 family had 3, and as probably as expected, a lot of families will only have 1 pet. They might have lots of fish and other things, but we're just talking about cats and dogs. A lot of families only have 1. You can see a lot of families have 2 and even more. So the one that turns up the most is actually 1. Now what's the trap? It's not the 6. The 6 tells you that it's the number 1. So that means 6 families in my class on that day had 1 dog or cat. Then if I go to the next one, the range. The range is the highest minus the lowest, or the biggest minus the smallest, whatever you want to call it. So look down to here now. Here's where people get trapped as well. I've got the 6 still here, but no one had 6. No one had 6 dogs and cats. So go back to this one here. The highest score then becomes 1 family had 5 dogs and cats. So that was a 5. It's not a 1. So the biggest number of dogs and cats in any of the families in my class on that day had 5. That's the biggest. So if you want to write biggest, then you write the smallest or the largest and the smallest, whatever you want to call it. And that one there is the smallest. Some family had no pets, no dogs and cats I should say. They might have horses and all sorts of animals. So 5 take 0 is not the answer. The answer is actually the 5. Now I'm actually going to jump to the mean, because there's this wonderful thing called FX column. And that's what's the shortcut for it. If I put an FX column there, this one's called F for frequency, and in statistics, the scores are called X. So when we say FX, we're saying multiply that number by that number. So in the real case, we had 2 families that had none. So 2 lots of 0 is 0. We had 6 families that had 1. So 6 lots of 1 is 6. If you watch the previous video, you'll see it on there, a longer explanation. We had 4 families who had 2, 4 2s are 8. We had 1 family that had 3. We had 4 families that had 4. And we had 1 family that had 5. So if we looked at that FX column, I could do it the long way, and I'd say I had a 0, plus a 0, plus a 1, 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 and I can go through writing all those out. But instead of writing all those out, I've got 2 lots of 0. So what's what I've got over here? I've got 2 lots of 0, which is 0. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 lots of 1, which is 6. So if we talk about the number of dogs and cats in my families on average, we're looking at all these numbers here. And I could write down 0 plus 6 plus 8 plus 3 plus 16 plus 5. And then I can say how many people were in the survey in that class on that day. So here we go. I had 2, another 6 makes 8, another 4 makes 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So if I put an N equals 18 there were 18 people who completed the survey. So when I add up an average or a mean, I add up all the scores and I divide by the number of people. So that's now watch what this is called here. This one here is called the sum of the FX column. Now in statistics they use this little sign which is a capital sigma, the Greek letter sigma, which means just add those numbers up. So I don't really need to know that at this point in time. I just got to know to add up the numbers. So I could go across these and go 14, 15, 16, 17, 27, 37, 38, and I've got 38 on 18. Now a lot of times in assessments 38 on 18 is 4 marks, depends on your teacher. If you go how many times does 18 go into 38, 18 plus 18 is 36, so it goes in twice. If we had 36, there's 2 left over. So that's 2, and just remember if we're talking about 18th, they stay 18th there. We could simplify that to 2 and 1/9. Now another thing we can do, I know that a 9th is 2.1 repeater. So you could write 2.1 repeater. A lot of people will accept answers like 2.11 or 2.111. as long as you make it fairly accurate and clear what you're doing. So that's using the FX column. Now here's the big one. Getting a median from the table is a bit hard. If you write them out, it's easy. But what we're going to look at here is that we have 18 scores. So if I wrote all the scores out, I could figure out where the middle was. But when I got 18 scores, I have 2 middles. And my favourite example is my 4 fingers. So if I had 4 scores, there's 2 in the middle. There's 1 this side, there's 1 that side, and we're left with 2 in the middle. So when there's an even number of scores, you get 2 middles. Interesting though, out of the 4 scores, there's my first, from your point of view, my first, my second, my third, and the fourth. The second and the third are the middles. So if I go to 18, and I halved 18, so if I said 18 divided by 2, I get 9. Interesting part, go back to this one. If I halve the 4, I get 2. There's the second. So it's not just the second, it's the second and the third. So if I had 6 scores, there's 2 middles. There's my 2 middles there. So if I go half a 6, I get 3. So there's the third one just there. So the third and the fourth one are the middle. So if I go 18 on 2, I get 9. That's the 9th and the 10th scores in the middle. So if I want to figure out the 9th score, I can go down here and I go, there was a 0 and a 0, that's 2. And then there's a 1 and 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 a 1. So far I'm up to 8 scores. So the 9th score will be a 2. And the 10th score will be a 2. It's not a 4. The 9th score will be a 2. And the 10th score will be a 2. And a lot of people really struggle with that. So in the moment I'll do it the long way for those who struggle. But if you can see it, there's an even number of scores. You halve it, which is 9. And we get the 9th and the 10th. And hopefully you remember me doing the 4 of those. Half 4 is 2. That's the second and the third. So you halve the 18, you get 9. And the 9th and the 10th are both 2. So if I started writing these out, I'd have 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So I'm up 2. I've written 0 twice, I've written 1 6 times. Now I write 2 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it keeps going. So what do I want? The 9th score. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's the 9th score, and there's the 10th score. So if there's 2 middles and they're both 2, the median is 2. So if it's 2 and 2, they become 2. If the numbers are different, then you've got to calculate what it is. So the median is 2. So you don't write 2 and 2, you just write 2. Oh, I hope it helps. It's getting too long-winded again.